Every Cyberpunk player knows this unspoken truth. Quick hacks are cool, iron's alright too, but nothing beats sashiming up a cracked out Ronda Rousey with trusty steel. Katanas are one of the strongest weapons you can get in Cyberpunk, and in this video, I'm ranking every single one of them. That's right, every single katana ranked in Cyberpunk from worst to best. I'm judging them based on damage and aesthetics, but I'm also sprinkling in just a tiny bit of Filipino bias. So don't be mad if your favorite blade's a bottom. I especially don't need any more nasty Panam pictures if you disagree. Let's stay positive. So without further ado, zip down those pants, wipe that Cheeto dust off your chest, and let's get started. The top 3 might just surprise you. Starting with the lowest tier, the AZZ tier. And Chooms, I know what you're thinking, not the AZZ tier, the AZZ tier. We're a bit more respectful here. I'll explain why we call it that in a bit. Only 2 katanas deserve a spot here, and the first is the Black Unicorn. Look, don't get me wrong, in terms of looks, the Black Unicorn is one of the sickest looking blades in the game, period. It's solid black, it's got runes bedazzled, and it's simple, no fancy tech or anything. But besides looks, it doesn't offer anything special. The Black Unicorn has a unique modifier that lets you attack at the same speed even when you're out of stamina. But for most, stamina is never an issue. Even on the hardest difficulty, my V felt like he was forever chewing a bluey with how long he lasted. So I'm putting this blade last because it's literally just a cool blade. The Gwyn blade is the better of the two. For one, the Gwyn blade looks truly unique. It's another weapon from The Witcher, but it's more like a sword than a katana. It's a blade that looks like no other, and I actually dig it quite a bit. And while its unique modifier is one of the weakest, it's at least better than the Black Unicorns. With the Gwyn blade, all your attacks are critical hits if you're below 25% health, or if you've offed 2 enemies within 5 seconds. It also deals 10% increased damage against bosses. This has a lot more value than maintaining your attack speed when you're tired. Both blades are okay, but the biggest reason why they're last is solely because of how you get them. Both blades are rewarded only if you've purchased Cyberpunk through GOG, so for Steam people like me, they're pretty much unobtainable. Bruh, I had to literally download a friend's save just to show it to you for this video. Isn't that lame? That's hella lame. So with the AZZ tier out of the way, let's move on to the next tier, and that's the C tier. C tier. C tier. This next tier is the C tier, which stands for Camo tier. These blades are great, but they're held back mostly because they rely on the optical camo implant. For those who don't know, camo is an implant that reduces your visibility to enemies by up to 90%, but it was greatly nerfed in patch 2.0. Even the best version of camo has the significantly long cooldown, meaning you can only take advantage of these unique modifiers for short windows at a time. Kicking off the C tier is the most average katana in the game, the Cocktail Stick. This pink menace is a signature blade of Evelyn Parker. You can find it in her locker at Clouds in Japantown. It's one of the many weapons that synergize well with optical camo. In this case, attacks with Cocktail Stick apply a movement penalty and bleed when camo is active. But the bleed part is redundant because of Slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse is a reflexes perk that makes every attack apply bleed, and it's already a must-have for every katana build. So with Cocktail Stick, you're really just getting a bright pink katana that slows your enemies. If you want that, hey, more power to you. But there are better ones, like the Jinchumaru. The Jinchumaru is a signature blade of Sendaya Oda, Uncle Goro's star pupil. You can grab it after beating him off during his fight at the Arasaka parade. Looks-wise, it's the purest katana in the game. It's good old black Japanese steel, unlike the bedazzled Black Unicorn. For me, that scores it pretty high, but in terms of damage, it's right in the middle. When camo is active, all attacks are critical hits, and if you're far enough, you can jump to enemies performing leaping attacks. The Jinchumaru at least surpasses the Cocktail Stick because it has one feature not tied to optical camo. It has a separate modifier that makes every 3rd attack a critical hit, which is pretty good. Go with this if you just want a solid black blade. Otherwise, let's move on to the next tier. The B tier katanas are inherently much better because they don't rely on optical camo. These katanas may not be the best, but you'll have no trouble beating the game with them. Kicking off the B tier is the Arata. The Arata is one of the newer katanas added in patch 2.0. It's found inside an oven at the electrical power plant, and you won't miss it as it's part of the main story. Depending on who you ask, it's arguably the best looking in the game, and for good reason too. It's the only thermal blade you get. Bruh, don't believe me? Try unsheathing this blade at night. It looks so damn sick. With the Arata, your hits have a 10% chance to apply burn, and all hits on a burning enemy are critical hits. You can even perform leaping attacks, so you can jump around like a flaming grasshopper on crack. I had a lot of fun pairing this with thermal grenades. Throw one down in a pack of enemies and you'll easily slice through them all. The reason it's in B tier is that burning itself is not that good of a status effect. By level 30, most enemies go down in 3 or 4 hits, so burning doesn't have much much chance to shine. Burning does do well against bosses though, or even the occasional max attack crew, but there are definitely better katanas to use for those encounters. Stick with this if you like the novelty of a thermal blade, otherwise go next. These next blades actually skip past B tier and land themselves in A tier. These are some of the best blades you can get and can perform better than one another depending on the situation. And taking first is the Sumitogi. Guys, don't be freaking mad at me if I'm butchering these pronunciations, please and thank you. The Tamagotchi drops from the Tiger Claw leader in charge of clouds. That's the OF club you raid with your Hispanic queen. You can grab it from Hiromi Sato's body in the gig Pisces. Looks wise, it's just average. I'm talking Filipino height or River Ward type of romance average. The Sumitogi is a blackish blade with a yellowish hilt, and that's all it has going for it. But underneath, it's one of my absolute favorites. For one, the Sumitogi has the highest base damage in the game, and unlike the other blades on this list, it doesn't sacrifice attack speed or stamina cost per swing. And if you run, jump, or sprint while attacking, you do 5% more damage. This katana is also the only variant that increases one of your resistances. With the Sumitogi equipped, you gain a 10% resistance to electric attacks. But the biggest change is this: the Sumitogi has a unique modifier causing it to deal electric damage instead of physical damage, and every attack has a 20% chance to apply shock. In Cyberpunk, all electric damage can apply shock and spark an EMP. That's that little burst of electricity you can see if you're lucky with your RNG. I put Sumitogi in A tier because when dealing with mechs, turrets, and robots, especially the ones in Phantom Liberty, electric damage is a godsend. Activate your Sandy and you can tear through those Bargas goons, NCPD mechs, and any other robotic enemy with ease. Keep this weapon around just for that. Also, because hearing the EMP pulse is one of the most satisfying sounds in the game. Leave a comment down below if you agree. But the next katana we have in the A tier is the Scalpel. The Scalpel is one of the most fun weapons in the game to get because you grab it from a gig that's a ripoff from the best scene in The Office. It's a carbon fiber blade with a cute blue handle, so it's easily recognized among veteran Cyberpunk players. Like the Sumitogi, its damage type is also changed to electrical, and it has a 20% chance to apply shock every hit, but it has a leg up because it synergizes well with the Sendevistan. The Sendevistan is one of the most iconic implants in Cyberpunk. It's what David Martinez used to slow down time, and it's the best implant to use in 99.9% of katana builds. With the Scalpel equipped, your crit chance is increased by 50% when your Sandy is activated, and all hits apply bleed. With the right build, you can get up to 100% crit chance with the Scalpel, and electric damage gives you more chance to apply shock, maximizing the damage you deal in your short Sendevistan window. It's easily one of the best katanas, but I'm picking this next one solely because of personal preference. The number one katana in the A tier is the Byakko. The Byakko is the signature weapon of Queen Wakako. It's a glossy black katana you only get after finishing your gigs in Japantown. Unlike the Scalpel, the Byakko has nothing to do with electric damage. Nothing. What makes me place this blade higher is solely how it feels and fits my playstyle. The Byakko has 4 unique modifiers. First, it increases your melee attack range by 1 meter. First, it increases your melee attack range by 1 meter, meaning you can hit people from farther away. 2, your attacks have a 10% chance to apply bleed. You already know how I feel about bleeding, so we'll go next. Third, you can perform leaping attacks to enemies further away. This makes clearing the gap much easier. But my favorite modifier is the last one. After an enemy is defeated with Byakko, you gain a 10-second buff that increases your attack speed and removes the pauses in between swings. When I use katanas, I feel like there's nothing more fun than zipping around enemies and slicing as fast as you can. Byakko lets me do that. Sure, it doesn't have the elemental flare like the others, but it fits that zippy playstyle that I love so much. That's what makes the Byakko one of the best on this list for me. Alright, so naturally guys, we only have one katana left. Just one. And this one might be controversial even after the nerfs, but I truly still believe that the best katana in the game and the only entry into the S tier is none other than the Satori. The Satori is the Brewer Arasaka's signature blade, and it's by far the easiest on this list to get. Most players don't know, but you can actually find it during the Konpeki heist. After the scene where his loving son gives him a hug, walk up the stairs to the roof. On the roof is where you'll find 2 guards and his personal AV. Inside the AV is where you'll find the blade. The Satori has 2 unique modifiers. First, it lets you leap towards distant enemies. Second, it lets you perform a quick draw attack by holding the attack button, and this attack is guaranteed to apply bleed. Bleed's okay, I think the leaping perk is much better. But where the Satori shines brighter than every other katana on this list is how it pairs with Nehan. Nehan is the newest throwing knife added in patch 2.0, which you can now loot off Saburo Arasaka himself. When you hit an enemy with Nehan, you apply bleed, and if you hit enemies affected by that bleed with Satori, you will drain their health and regenerate create your own. This combination truly shines in boss encounters and on very hard. Start every fight with Nehan, then switch to Satori to finish them off. The hemorrhaging will do a ton of damage, and you'll practically have infinite sustain if you're ever about to die. This comes in clutch in big boss fights, as well as the secret ending where you have to be more careful about watching your health. When paired together, you're practically unkillable, and that's what gives Satori the greatest potential and what makes it potentially the best katana in the game. So Chooms, if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. And also leave a comment and let me know what type of videos you want to see next. I'm trying to cook up like a bunch of these videos for all of you guys, so it really helps. Special shout out to our current YouTube members who helped make this video possible. If you want to become a YouTube Choom, click the button below. Peace guys.